This is our 20th national park and the last of the Utah Mighty Five.
With easily accessible overlooks, beautiful vistas, and great short hikes, Canyonlands National Park should be a must-visit on your Utah road trip. We're Howard and Caitlin Newstate. This year, we're traveling to 51 parks in 52 weeks. We're visiting all the U.S. national parks in the lower 48 in a special Winnebago Vista limited edition. Each week, we're sharing where to stay, what to do, and introducing you to the people doing incredible work across our national parks. Canyonlands is a breathtaking spectacle of Utah's incredible geological features. It's the largest of Utah's national parks, but most visitors only see a small section of it. That's because Canyonlands is divided into 3 separate districts by the Colorado and Green Rivers. There are no roads connecting each district, so this is a park that requires some extra time and planning if you want to see more of the diverse landscapes found here. Island in the Sky is the most popular district, located about 45 minutes from Moab. Today's video will mainly focus on this area. There's also the Needles District, which is one of the most unique places in the park and a personal favorite of ours. We visited this district on a past trip and we'll share a few of our must-see spots. Lastly, the Maze District is the most remote and requires an all-wheel drive, high-clearance vehicle. We drove into the Island in the Sky area from Moab and waited about 20 minutes to get into the park. Unlike Arches National Park, there is no timed entry requirements at Canyonlands, so sometimes there's a line, but it did move pretty quickly. Of course, our first stop was the Visitor Center to grab all our goods before heading out to stop at several of the amazing overlooks along the main park road. As the name suggests, Island in the Sky sits on a mesa high above the rivers, so you get an amazing bird's eye view out into the canyons of Utah.
So this is the Shafer Road viewpoint, which overlooks the Shafer Road. Shafer Road descends over 1,500 feet through the sandstone. In most areas, it is just a single lane, but there are some spots where 2 vehicles can pass each other in opposing directions. This is not for the faint of heart, and certainly not for somebody who doesn't have a 4-wheel drive with a higher clearance vehicle.
One of the things that we love about Canyonlands National Park is how easily accessible it is. You can see a lot of really amazing things from all of these great overlooks. We're at the Buck Canyon Overlook right now, and it's completely different than Candlestick Overlook or even Shafer Road Overlook, so we highly recommend that you budget enough time to stop at several of these. Island in the Sky has one main out and back road with one spur road that will take you to more hiking, overlooks, and a small 12-site first-come, first-served campground. If you follow the road to the end here at Island in the Sky, you'll come to one of the most popular spots in the park.
Grand View Point, the grandest of points. From here, you can see a lot of Canyonlands that is inaccessible by a sedan or a regular vehicle, certainly not on a paved road. What you can also see is the Needles section, which we visited several years ago, and it's absolutely worth the trip, but I will forewarn you, from this spot, it's over 3 hours in order to get to the Needles section of the park.
But if you're staying in Moab, that's a great almost halfway point between the Needles and Island in the Sky. So if you have a few days in the area, take it from us and visit both of these districts. They are so incredibly different.
So we're gonna go down to Cave Spring. That's where we can see some petroglyphs. Continue this loop, go out, we're gonna do a little half-mile hike at Pothole Point, continue on to the Overlook, and then head back.
Cave Spring is a must-do trail. It's only 0.6 miles round trip and takes you to a historic cowboy camp and an area where you can see both petroglyphs and pictographs. Plus, you get to climb 2 short ladders and get even better views of this area.
I feel like that's what you have to do when you get to the top. This is by far the coolest little loop trail I think we've done.
You start underneath, and now we're on top and kind of jumping from rock to rock almost.
All right, so we made it to our second stop. This is Pothole Point Trail. It's another about half a mile loop trail, and it's so cool because we're going to be climbing up to this limestone ledge where there's all these natural potholes or dimples where water collects.
If you watched our last episode in Arches National Park, we talked all about potholes and the tiny creatures that live in them, whether they're filled with water or not. This trail is a great place to see potholes up close. Just remember not to step in the potholes, even if they're dried up.
Feels like we're on another planet. This is beautiful. And I can totally see why it's called the Needles area.
Now back to Grandview Point.
If you're wowed by the view, there's a trail. It's 1.8 miles round trip, and it will take you a little bit further out so you can get even better views of other areas of Canyonlands.
This is also where you can find daily geology talks during the summer months. They are offered at 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. through the end of August, and it's a great way to learn more about the incredible landscape here in Canyonlands.
When I got here to Canyonlands, it was a big personal challenge for myself because I have a big confession. I was never good at geology. I did fine in school, but I never really gave it the time that it needed. I kind of was overwhelmed by it and like this geologic time scale. I didn't dig deep, and I just kind of thought it was a study of rocks. Canyonlands National Park is a showcase of amazing geology. No matter what district you're in, whether you're here on the Mesa top with me at Island in the Sky, or if you're hiking through Chesler Park down in the Needles, or if somehow you have managed to find yourself wandering in the maze, we get to see the really remarkable effects of erosion on a landscape of sedimentary rock. And so for us today to look out at our landscape and understand a little bit about how it's looked different over time, you really just need to know 3 very simple processes. And those are deposition, uplift, and erosion. All right, program's over. You're all good to go. So most of our sediment that we have here in modern day Utah and Canyonlands came from places like the Appalachian Range on the East Coast and even the ancestral Rocky Mountains. And so wind and water are really going to be your big carriers of a lot of our sediment. And so each layer buries the one that came before it. And so you have a lot of sand coming from wind, and then a river comes over the area, then the ocean, that inland sea kind of starts to rise and recede away. So all this material is getting buried underneath the surface. There's no canyons at this point. You just have kind of this field that slopes off into the distance as far as the eye can see. But change is coming. The Earth was going through a lot of stuff. That is our uplift. If we all were to cram inside of a time machine and go back about 20 million years ago, we'd step out onto the surface of the Earth and everybody would be given a hard hat. There'd be caution tape everywhere. There's cones all over the place. And the foreman would be yelling at us to be safe because this is kind of a big period of movement for the Earth. And this movement is constructing, in building things, modern landforms that we enjoy seeing today, like the Rocky Mountain Range and Nevada's Basin and Range and our Colorado Plateau. So erosion is really that last process that we see and live on a day-to-day basis. And so erosion is what gives us these canyons that we've all traveled so far to see today. And we have 2 main architects of erosion. Down behind me, I promise it's there, some 2,000 feet. The Colorado River on our east side and the Green River on our west side have been carving channels into these rock layers, deposited some 300 million years ago. All of these geologic wonders that you've traveled so far to see are all temporary, and they're all on their way out. Now, before you panic, don't worry. If you give it like several 100 million more years, something even more beautiful is gonna be here. We just might not be here to see it. So if you go through the park today, I hope you enjoy all your beautiful wonders. And if we take care of it today, people coming to see it 100 years from now will get to enjoy the same experience. So have a great day, folks. Stay hydrated and take that extra picture as you go through Canyonlands National Park today. Here it is.
What do we got here?
Wow. Check out this. Look at this. They got picnic spots. It's shaded. There's a grill and beautiful views. Can't beat it.
And
Let's
we
eat.
packed a lunch.
I know. Let's eat. All right, Caitlin. What's on today's menu?
Today's menu, we have cottage cheese and blueberries for some good protein. And then we have like this chopped salad that we're gonna put avocado and turkey in. And I think that's it.
And water.
And water. It's a pretty healthy lunch. It'll be good because we'll be nice and fueled for hiking.
The weather is starting to change. I don't know how much longer we've got before that comes here.
We just, well, we had turned our backs and everybody else exclaimed that there was a huge lightning strike,
Yeah.
which would have made for some really cool footage.
It's getting really dark over there.
Yeah.
So I'm fingers crossed that it will go past us, but I don't know.
Yeah, because we plan to do a couple hikes down there. We'll see.
We drove to the end of the road and we had plans to do the Upheaval Overlook trail, but because of that storm, we've decided against it. There were two rangers who drove by and are kind of warning people that they have been seeing lightning strikes and that it was up to us, but obviously we want to do the responsible thing, not be a statistic, not get struck by lightning on this trail. So we're gonna go see if we can do some other things. It might blow over and then hopefully we can do it and take you along. I just heard the loudest thunder right here. So...
At my house, be a bird, and I ride to stand.
Well, we took shelter at the visitor center because there's Wi-Fi here, and we were able to pull up the radar and see how long the storm could last. So we're trying to formulate our plan and figure out if it's worth it to wait it out. We also have a potential option of coming back in the morning and doing some of the stuff that we couldn't do today in the morning. So we're kind of weighing those two options right now. Here we go.
I'm always hopeful. Maybe this will pass within an hour. If it doesn't, then we just, film tomorrow before we leave town because we're on our way to the next park.
That is the tricky thing. We have a finite amount of time at each location, but weather happens. We've been very fortunate that most of the time, we did have to rearrange our schedule for the California parks, but outside of that, I think Biscayne was actually the last time we had really bad weather, right?
Yeah, and that was the first or second park? Second park.
Yeah, second park. So not too bad of a track record when you're trying to hit all these parks and you're dealing with different weather and different climates.
We'll get it done.
Yeah. We're gonna sit here and watch the rain.
Take two. Well, what a difference a day makes. Last night we were huddled in the car because it was storming. Today, beautiful blue skies. It's just after sunrise and we can finally show you one of the most iconic places here at Canyonlands, Mesa Arch. Wow.
Look at that. And so you can probably see why Mesa Arch is one of the most popular spots here in Canyonlands. It's also an epic spot for photographers at sunrise. You can find pictures all over the internet of amazing sunburst shots as the sun comes up over the horizon. And it creates a perfect picture frame out into the canyon below with all of the amazing formations. We got here about 7:45 in the morning and there were hardly any people here, as opposed to when we visited in 2020. We came in the late afternoon and there were tons of people here, and also the light changes throughout the day. So if you come in the morning versus the afternoon, you might have a very different view. Well, I would say this is much better weather. The sky looks far less ominous today. So we're gonna take you to the Upheaval Dome Overlook. It's about a half a mile up. You can continue on to a second overlook and get great views of this very interesting rock formation. The short trail will take you to one of the most mysterious places here in Canyonlands. As Ranger Ava explained, most of the geological formations here follow a pretty specific pattern of deposition, uplift, and erosion, except for Upheaval Dome. This is amazing! No one knows for sure what caused the irregular formations here that, unlike nearby rocks, are pushed up into a circular structure called a dome. There are two main theories that are hotly debated between geologists: the salt dome theory and the crater impact theory. You can read more about each on Canyonlands' website, but there has been recent research pointing more towards the second theory, that Upheaval Dome is the result of a meteorite crash here about 60 million years ago. But for now, the true cause still remains a mystery. Looking down into Upheaval Dome is definitely worth it. It took us 10 minutes to get to the top, and it's so otherworldly looking, something you would see in a sci-fi movie from another planet. It's very ominous because you've got all of these dark colors and these very jagged shapes.
Now that is a super rewarding short hike.
Next week, we're heading north to Montana and taking our Glacier Edition RV to its namesake, Glacier National Park. This is one of our favorite parks, and on this trip, we're exploring in style. Join us for a classic red bus tour along the famous Going to the Sun Road. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.